everybody. Before we jump into today's episode, we have two sponsors we want to say thank you to for supporting this show. The first one is Routine. You guys have heard me talk about Routine, honestly, back from the early days of the podcast, and it's still a product I use every single morning. They have a prompt for me here. I'm going to do a little impromptu on this ad read today because honestly, this is a product that I truly believe in. And so I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what I think and why. First and foremost, this is a stat that they shared, but when you sleep, you lose between a pound and a half of water. And most of that's just sweating while you sleep. I used to not know if that was actually true, to be honest. I felt like a pound to a pound and a half of water seemed like quite a bit while I slept. But the one thing I did constantly pay attention to when I started using Routine was just the fact that before using Routine, I always felt a little dehydrated in the morning. And I'm one of those people that when I get up really early usually. I work out. One of the first things I do is some form of fitness. It's just like what I do before everyone's awake. And so it's very easy for me to grab a coffee, pre-workout, an energy drink, something with caffeine in it, and just go. When I am good about using Routine, first, I basically they come in these little single serve packets. They contain half an organic lemon, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, all 6 essential electrolytes, and they have no sugar in them at all. A lot of hydration products are going to have sugar. So one of the things about Routine that I love is that there's no sugar in there. So when I am good about doing this consistently, I will take one of those single serve packets, I'll throw it in my mixer bottle, and whether I also put in a pre-workout or something with caffeine or I just drink that separately, I try to drink that first. And the days I do that, I do genuinely feel hydrated and just have a different form of clarity all morning. A lot of people have tried to make their own homemade versions of Routine, right? You see people they take a shot of the apple cider vinegar, they put a little sea salt, a little lemon in a drink. This is essentially that, but in a product that you can take with you on the go, have it ready for you first thing in the morning. I know me personally, when I'm groggy rolling out of bed, the last thing I want to do is, squeeze a lemon, cut lemons up, go get the apple cider vinegar, find my sea salt. I just rip this packet open, throw it in my water, drink it, and it's good to go. You can try yours today. If you haven't tried it yet and you've been listening to this podcast for years, just try the damn Routine. Give it a shot. You can use code ShaneWhite30 and get 30% off your first order. So you get 30% off by using code ShaneWhite30 and go to yourroutine.com. To make it even easier, I've added the link to yourroutine.com in the show notes. So just click on the show notes for this episode, click on the link to yourroutine.com, and don't forget to use code ShaneWhite30. All right, guys, today's episode is also brought to you by NeuroRoast. Again, I'm going to go a little off script here. NeuroRoast is a product that I also came across during this year of 2023. They are a coffee company that's helping you optimize your brain function and overall well-being. This is another product that, to be honest with you, when I first started working with it, I was a little on the fence. I was like, do I really want to have mushrooms in my coffee? Well, folks, I will tell you, when I use NeuroRoast, one of the things that has stood out to me the most is I'll back up. People that know me know that I have way too much caffeine, typically. One of the things this year I've done a good job of is cutting out alcohol. Not completely, but predominantly, I don't touch a lot of alcohol anymore. What I think I've actually done the other way, though, is add a lot more caffeine. So I do definitely drink too much caffeine. That's something I need to work on next year, is to try to minimize how much of that. But NeuroRoast is something that has actually helped me because of the way they've formulated their coffee. Like, unlike regular coffee, which is, still something I consume, but NeuroRoast specifically doesn't cause jitters or crashes. Mushroom coffee provides more balance and sustained energy, allowing you to stay focused and productive throughout the day. So the times I do use NeuroRoast, I'll be honest, I just don't feel that jittery, like, I'm jumping out of my chair or standing here at my desk jumping around feeling. So give NeuroRoast a try. They have some really good flavors. I'll be honest too, the two guys that started NeuroRoast are just really good dudes based out of New York, and they're hustling, and hopefully they can get some people to try NeuroRoast this holiday season by listening to this podcast. So for you folks who've been on the fence, I'm telling you, it tastes delicious. They've done a fantastic job of making this coffee not only be functional, but taste fantastic. And if you want to try NeuroRoast, you can use code ShaneWhite. So it's super simple, just ShaneWhite at checkout. you'll also get 30% off. So if you go to neuroroast.com, and once again, I have added that to the show notes. So just click into the show notes while you're listening to this episode. You can click on NeuroRoast link directly. Don't forget to use code just Shane White, and you'll get 30% off your order. Hope you guys love both these products. I'm trying to not only bring you guys products that I use, but that I believe in on the podcast. I'm not taking ad reads for any brands that I don't really believe in. So anyway, hope you guys love both those products, yourroutine.com and neuroroast.com. I've added those links to the show notes. I hope you guys love it. And I got an awesome guest coming up right after this. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode. This is episode 7, I think. Yes, 7. Wow. We had a little bit of a break. Holidays got a little crazy for us, but we'll get back on track here. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, so I think for today, kind of a broad topic, but really like a question that we've gotten asked many times in the past. And I would say if you're completely unfamiliar with Amazon, or if you're a brand who isn't on Amazon yet, very high level question of like, what should I sell on Amazon? So I think today we wanted to chat through, hey, if Kyle and Shane were to sell widget A on Amazon, what would that widget be, right? And not in terms of like what category, what flavor, just pure economics based on what you and I know. What would we look to sell? I think it's a good kicking off point for people who are listening too. Even if you think about your own assortment or your own catalog, one thing that we hear quite often, and is kind of, I would say, like early days of Amazon recommendation, which was, oh, it's endless shelf, sell anything you can. If they produce it, sell it. Which,
Right.
like, okay, sure, but there is a break even point, right? Like you have to. There is your FBA fees, your referral fees. There's a cost to sell the product on site. So unless you have no guardrails on what you're selling the item for SRP wise, that would be true. But I'll kick it over to you. Like, what are some of the things that you and I look for in a new item?
Yeah, no, I love this. This is such a good deep dive, and I think applies to so many people. I think the first thing is you really want to find an item where we'll use this term called unit economics, and it basically means before you advertise, before you add anything variable, so like, running a discount, promoting it, anything like that, you just get it up on Amazon, someone buys it. How much do you make? The percentage of all of those expenses against what you're selling it for, that's a key part that Kyle and I would look at. So, for example, selling something at a really, really low price on Amazon, the challenge of that is for you to really at scale make any decent money, you have to sell a shit ton of them. And you have to do that with really efficient advertising as well, which is not easy to do. So things that are really cheap on Amazon, that's actually a tougher thing to make good money on. The other thing we're going to look at is we'll call like weight and dimensions. So the more air you take up is an easy way to put it. So you sell a bag of chips, like you're not, the physical product is actually a small percentage of the total volume of the item you're selling. You're selling a lot of air. That's tough. And also the heavier it gets, the tougher it gets. So the more compact and tighter packed, so basically like the overall size of the thing, and the lighter it can be, the better at its simplest form. So that plus it being premium is the sweet spot. If we had like a whiteboard, that's the white space between, price and overall dimensions and weight. If that was your X and Y axis, that creates a perfect little zone where you're selling something at a premium, yet the fees that Amazon is going to take from you is minimized. Thus, you'll have more profit margin, which allows you to advertise and actually make money.
So everyone go sell protein bars. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, protein bars. Yeah, those are great. Those are great.
Yeah, I mean, those are all. That's obviously
or like those super premium pens I was telling you about.
Yeah, sell super premium pens, notebooks.
Yeah,
heavy notebooks with gold leaf pages.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny, like what I mentioned earlier about like this endless shelf and this very early stage thinking of Amazon, which like if we produce it, let's sell it. Which when we work with food and beverage brands, think bigger brands who have different SKUs and assortment for middle retail, different SKUs and assortment for club, different SKUs and assortment for convenience. You can imagine the size of their catalog. And if you were to deploy that thinking on Amazon, you could very quickly have 200-300 items on Amazon
Right.
relatively quickly. And outside of the number of issues that creates operationally, marketing, spreading dollars around every single item, just the sheer unit economics of selling I'll stick with the potato chip example, selling one large, even like a club format bag of chips. So just think of like a massive, I know Costco sells the munchies. It's a huge
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
That in a box is so terrible to ship versus if you were to sell really, really tightly packed, dense 1 ounce lunch box or lunch bags of chips. That's probably more economical to sell on Amazon. It's always interesting to me when we do a lot of audits for potential clients, and obviously we're doing what we do, how there's just that disconnect of
Yeah.
the assumption that everything is going to work. That's truly not the case. Um, the other
And
thing
that
that's
doesn't mean it can't
interesting,
sell. It just means that the actual profitability of it's going to be tough, most
yeah,
likely.
or you got to sell it for 2x what you would sell it at a retail location. One other funny thing that we can talk about, and then we'll jump to our weekends before the holiday here. The one interesting thing that we've experienced is, what we're talking about in terms of dimensional weight in units comes down to determining your FBA fee. That FBA fee, again, being determined by the dimensional weight of the product that you're selling. If Amazon mismeasures that product, they can charge you an incorrect FBA fee. So we've given the example of, I don't have anything on my desk. Let's say like I've got nothing, but if you could
Like one of
imagine,
these bad boys, got like a
well,
ghost,
no,
maybe?
just like because new items.
You think in the bag?
Yeah, like the bag. So
Yeah.
for instance, like an item that runs through a Cubiscan, which is the item that's measuring the item when it first arrives at an Amazon warehouse for the first time. If you have one corner of that bag kind of like propped up, the height of that item is being considered here, as opposed to if you were just push that bag down and compress it, it would get measured at a lower level. So even one thing we encourage all of our brands to do, and brands that we talk to, is just keep an eye on your FBA fees, because there might be that one stray item that just went through that Cubiscan weird, and now your
Yeah.
FBA fees are all out of whack.
Right. Yeah. Is there I think the one thing that might be valuable for people, like this all theoretically makes sense, but maybe if we add a little bit of tangible numbers too, that's helpful. Like if we, a good example, maybe I'm looking at a current price pack architecture over here. Like if you sell something for, let's just say $20, what's a range that we'd want to see those two major Amazon fees fall into? I think that's a helpful range for people, because people who have never sold on Amazon probably have no idea how much Amazon does or
Sure.
doesn't take.
Yeah, so based on that price point, again, being in food and bev, so you're above $15, which means your referral fee is going to be 15%, and then your FBA fee is based on the dimensions. We like to see the combination of those two fees 30 to 40%, I would
Yeah.
say. Getting below 30 is pretty rare for at least food and bev. And then
So
certainly tougher
in
items to sell on site.
layman's terms, if you sell something for $20, the referral fee is basically Amazon's commission. So they take a piece of that, which is 15% if you're above $15 for most categories. That's, that's like $3 of your $20. And then the FBA fee we refer to, for everyone listening to, if you think about when you buy something on Amazon and then that item is sitting at a warehouse, it has to get picked off the shelf, put into a box. It also pays for your UPS shipping label. So the actual shipping label getting all the way to the customer. For an item, it's $20. Like I'm just estimating here, but $5 could be the price for that, which is honestly really, really cheap, and why Amazon works so well. But so they're taking $8 of your $20. So just for like quick economics, you can see how quickly, they take a pretty big chunk. So you need hopefully the rest, your cost of goods, the other Amazon fees, and your advertising to work pretty hard for you, so that you can make money.
Yeah, so I think the headline as we wrap, guys, it's the idea of endless shelf is great, but that certainly doesn't mean everything is going to work on Amazon. So being mindful about the pack offerings you're making, and then obviously the price points that you're selling at, is critical.
Love it. All right, everybody.
Beautiful.
Thanks for
Thanks, guys.
listening. We'll be back with another one.